Bezlio. It's definitely a work in progress, and we've just got started. I'm personally on a new learning curve with this. My background is business operations. I've been an operations manager in automotive for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Somehow got stuck into small companies where the resources tend to be a little limited. And so I've done a lot of Microsoft Access programming, of all things. Once we started hitting limits on Access, moved over, and I had a couple of ERP systems I've worked with where they were based on SQL Server. Had a Kantola progressive database for a while that was awful to work with. So I'm happy to be on SQL Server, Microsoft issues aside. I often tell people that if I were to meet Bill Gates, I'd either hug him or kick him in the, you know what. Give you an idea of how we're intending to use the product, or what our goals are. It's kind of a step down from the last couple of hours. So this is, you know, how many of you are developers? I don't know if we asked. So for you, this could be comic relief. I hope to inform the rest of you about what we're doing. I should say that my education and background is project management in addition to business. So I kind of approach how we're doing things from a project management perspective, and take some of the learning that we've had over the last few years trying to accomplish some goals that we have for RobbJack. This is who we are. We're the cutting tool industry. We feel that we're the leader in that industry with our product and what we offer our customers. What you see up on the top is an end mill. This is a slitting saw. We do some kind of funky things with threaded tips on the end of end mills. And then we have two subdivisions. So we're a multi-site ERP. We have crystal and PVD that does physical vapor deposition coatings on tools. And many of you are hunters. You like those buck outfitter knives. That's our coating on those knives. I think we do 100% of their DLC. And then we have another division that does chemical vapor deposition, where they're actually using a plasma arc to grow diamond on carbide tools. It's kind of a voodoo magic process. Done in a microwave oven style device of all things. One of the things that we like about Bezlio is the ability to start connecting these sites together, and with the different data connections, and it allows us to mash up that data. Crystalline right now is located in Santa Clara. We're located in Sacramento. Our multi-site is just one database that we have in Sacramento for the PVD division. Santa Clara is running on their own database. They were hesitant to upgrade and pull up on the multi-site. So the only way that we have the ability to mash up any of our corporate level data now is through something like Bezlio. We've been on a lean manufacturing journey for about the last 7 years. It started off with kind of the normal stuff you would expect, right? 5S, going through and cleaning up the shop, doing shadow boards, some of the physical things that are done with lean manufacturing out in production. Process standards, doing work instructions. We're incentivized, so we have a lean incentive. It's kind of a cool, bonus check every quarter, as long as we're profitable. And it's maintaining 5S and doing new or revised and updated work instructions. We also have cycle time reduction. So we're looking at our on-time delivery performance, days to deliver, time through the shop, queue time. A lot of these metrics that are generated within the system, right? So labor transactions, so we do barcode labor transactions in the shop. Every one of those entries into the ERP is a data point now that we can start to measure. You know, Brian's talking about doing statistics on, you know, data and flows. Well, we're looking at that comparison between the standards and actual times that are, you know, a job is in the shop. We're looking at the queue time that exists between operations, how long a job sits on a queue shelf waiting to start the next operation. You know, Lean says compress all of that down, eliminate waste, and get to the point where you're within reason running one part through the system at a time. So a single part flow through the shop with no inventory on hand. We've just started doing kata, continuous improvement. Kata is a Japanese term for a routine. So it's a process and a way of doing continuous improvement, PDCA cycles. That seems to be working really well. What really took off for us and has really helped our lean process and get things fired up and moving again is the morning huddle boards. So how many of you guys do morning huddles? Yeah, only one.
We do it for safety.
For safety, yeah. So morning huddles are really cool. I wish I would have had a video to show you since you're not doing that. We have 8 teams that are located throughout the shop. So basically lined up with our value streams. So the PVD group has a huddle. Front office has a huddle. So all the customer service people, IT, the staff group, so senior management comes out and participates in the office huddle. Shipping has a huddle. And what we're looking at in the morning huddle are the key metrics that are driving our overall goal. So our goal right now is on-time delivery and days to delivery. What are the things, you know, that are contributing to that in the front office? So it's number of orders processed, how long it took to process the orders, back arrows, right? So a back arrow is any time something that you're moving through the process has to go backwards. So back arrows are non-productive, non-value added time. They're actually adding cost to your job as it's running through the shop. All of those performance metrics are all things that can be presented on a status screen, right, through Bezlio. Right now we're doing that through a whole lot of different tools, and they're all kind of disconnected. I'll show you that in a second. The last huddle is the supervisor huddle. They all come back together again. So supervisors take part in their own huddles. They come together in their huddle and start exchanging information. So if you've ever heard the term silo, you know, I'm sure some of you operate in silos where you lob bombs across over at some other department and say it's not my problem, or you get bombs lobbed on you, right? We're all in IT, so we do more of the receiving than the lobbing. And like I said, Visual provides a lot of that transactional data. So in our current reporting, Kata Huddle, team boards, KPIs, we have the daily activity report that summarizes all the sales data. The daily activity report is a series of scripts that I've created that run at night, kind of consolidate and summarize the information, and then it goes through SSRS on a schedule and just, you know, spits out a PDF for everybody in the morning. Same thing with the Lean Box Score. Lean Box Score report is operational data. So it's time through the process, the on-time delivery by value stream. What are we doing now? Trying to work on tact time. So tact, P-A-K-T, is are you meeting up is your production output matched to your customer order requirements, right? Sales rep reporting, schedule improvement we're working on, machine center scheduling. So we have a monitor out in one of our key work centers that's bottlenecked right now, and we're doing all of our machine scheduling on a monitor, and that's publishing a SSRS report, but it could just as easily be a Bezlio screen where I have yet more control over what's produced or presented onto that screen. Working on an improved labor ticket entry program. So, we're using SQL Server for a lot of stuff, Microsoft Access, Excel, SharePoint, all kind of these bits and pieces of software that are mostly free. SSRS comes with SQL Server. We're an Office 365 user, so we have Access, Excel, and SharePoint under the corporate account. So we have all of these tools that are available. Small companies tend to use what's available rather than going out and buying and spending a whole lot of money on custom apps. So we get a little creative with what we're doing. Sales rep reporting is a lot like what you would expect. There's a SSRS report that spits out a Excel file every Monday morning that contains all of that information that sales reps are looking for. It's kind of a screenshot here of all of our various, types of reports. We have, this is a look at a first article, or what we call first part inspection sheet. So we are doing some first part data or inspection data for our parts through the shop. Scheduling, on Access, we're doing Gemba audits or internal audits through SharePoint. Labor ticket in Access, a look at, kind of a menu shot from our SQL or the SSRS. Some of the reporting through SSRS on our schedule board that I was talking about. So some of the problems with our current status in the plant, we have a limited adoption and utilization of the tools that are there. People tend to, run home to mama or stick with what's comfortable, especially shop people. They don't want to learn new tools. They want to stick with what they're used to. Frankly, we're getting busy again, and we kind of downsized when we were slow. Lean says to do more with less, right? So we've not hired some of our people back, so everybody's doing more than they were doing before, putting fires out, spending a lot of time doing their normal work. And, when I say, hey, we have this great tool for doing Gemba audits on SharePoint, even the managers are like, oh, I don't want to. SharePoint, that's something else that's new, right? We have a lot of disconnected solutions. I've been able to pull things together pretty well on SQL Server. We're also using Office 365 or Dynamics CRM, and we have a plugin that is helping to make the integration possible through SSIS. So I'm grabbing data from CRM, dropping it down into SQL Server, comparing it to the ERP system, kind of managing data that way. All of the reporting that we have is all one way. So it's all static data, it's all historical, it just goes out, it's presented in the shop in some way, or it goes out on a PDF or an Excel file, and there's no ability to write back to it. So that's one of the things we're really excited about Bezlio, is that we're now going to have the ability to put response data in. One of the key reports that our production planners use is a sales orders with no supply. Right? So the sales order goes in and it evaluates the available on-hand inventory and work in process against total demand and it tells the planners, it gives them a list, here's the sales orders that you need to plan. They want to be able to add notes into that sheet. And that was one of their first requests was, hey, that's really cool. Can I, type in here on my SSRS, browser view? And I'm like, nope, sorry, that doesn't work. Another example is on inventory. Any other visual users here, or okay, so you do an inventory, right? You do the inventory transaction, cycle counts go in, and the cycle counts, you do an adjustment. As soon as that cycle count closes, you can't add any description detail to it anymore. All it says is, so many pieces were adjusted out by physical count. So we had to create an access app, little portal that goes back and allows the guys shipping to say, okay, well, here's why we adjusted these items out, in order for us to then have and be able to track. It would be really cool with Bezlio to kind of replace that or augment that process and be able to enter counts in and close inventory with the ability to add in description detail. Limited to Windows tablets, so one of our goals is to start pushing out tablets into the shop for like our labor ticket entry. We want to have immediately available for the operators, clock in, clock out, access to work order history on part, be able to pull up the PDF scans from the prior work orders, see all of the inspection data, how the job ran. It's associated with a sales order, so we want them to pull up the PDF for the sales order, be able to see that, see all of the notes associated with it, so that anytime there's a little tweak or something different about a customer's tool, it's immediately there. There are fewer back arrows as a result. When there's a blueprint associated with the part, customer sends us a print, just pull it up, it's right there at the machine. No more running around. They used to have to go run all the way across the building into production control in order to have them look up and pull up the work order PDF out of the history. Well, that's a silly waste of time in order to answer one question. Be able to pull it up and see it. The only way that I was able to pull that off was in that little application was to do it in Access. Well, I've been chasing record lock issues for 2 years now as a result of all of this access stuff I've been doing. I've got with no locks on every SQL query, and every static query in Access is a snapshot, and I still can't get rid of it. It's, access is access, right? So I've got another job running that, looks for blocking transactions, and after 60 minutes just kills it. It's not ideal. Shouldn't have to do that. So hopefully Bezlio will resolve some of those record lock issues. Sales reps are not able to query and fill in the data, right now. It's just an Excel file. Our subsidiary uses a tool called RobbJack for 3 active users at $500 a month for just the 3 people who are using it. So we're looking forward to getting rid of that. Our sales reps are going to be set up on Bezlio as external accounts because they don't need to do anything. I'm just going to give them their setup and they're going to use it and not be able to, they're not going to change add to at all. So now that $500 a month for 3 years, users goes down to like $5 a month for external account. No rep access to Dynamics directly. They're not using it. It's overly complicated. Try to build them profiles on Dynamics that would make it easy to use. They don't use it. You give them the tools. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it, right? And I don't know what the license fee is for Dynamics now. When we got it, I guess we were on a deal, and I think we're paying $50 a month for 5 users. Now that it's Office 365 and nice and zoomy, I'm sure the price has gone up. So other solutions are limited and costly. I don't know if this is being recorded where Infor can hear it. So I'll just say other solutions. So some of the goals that we have for our systems that we think Bezlio is going to help with, we want a consolidated delivery platform, right? So if we can take all of these other tools that we have and make all of that information available with one solution, with one view, with one login, then I think our user uptake and utilization is going to go up. Because they're not having to remember, oh, I need to go here for this, and then I have to go open this other application in order to get to my Gembas. You know, it just simplifies the process. Two-way integration, we want the ability to insert new data. Bezlio obviously does that. We want to take that labor ticket entry program that's used by our shop users and present that in Bezlio and hopefully improve on it. We like the idea of, I'll show you in a second, on our production control screen, we have like 4 different panels. So they see all of their sales orders with no supply, they see planned orders, they see what's running at the subdivision and Crystal Moon. So they see all of this information on one screen. Well, one of those is planned orders. Well, why not, you know, instead of looking at Bezlio, seeing what your planned orders are, and then having to go open visual and log back into their MRP and release the planned orders, why not just click a button on Bezlio, right? So we want to be able to do a planned order release right away. Really excited about the quote process that you guys developed, because that's what we're working on. A bit more complicated because we're applying rules to how we're quoting our tools, right? So the overall length, our flute length on a tool cannot exceed like 67% of the overall length of the part. So we start putting some, you know, as you start entering information on a quote and building a part, basically, you know, I can see taking my Access app that I'm doing for that quote process and moving it all into Bezlio really easily, because it's, you know, similar functions, you know, the way I'm building it. External user access to real-time data. So we'll have the ability to do data exchange and mash up the data between RobbJack and Crystalline. Sales rep portal for live data, so they can come in anytime, not just on Mondays in an Excel file. Now they can log in and look at, you know, a specific account that they're going to today and see what's the history, you know, are there any open RMAs that I'm walking into, and be able to call and figure out what's going on with the return before they get slammed by the customer. And then potentially a customer portal. You know, we talk about all of our sales go through distribution for the most part. So why not have a portal for our distributors to log into and enter their quote requests directly? Go straight into visual without ever having to, you know, reinterpret what they're saying. And then immediate access to relevant information. Yeah, this is kind of a pet peeve of mine. I get a request, I'm sure you guys get requests for reports and information. You know, somebody comes in from outside another department, they ask for something, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay. That's easy to produce. I'll, you know, poop this report out in 10 minutes. They use it once, and then it never gets accessed again, right? So obviously that was not relevant information. They were just interested in whatever. So I'm intentionally avoiding and setting some rules around our implementation that says it's got to be information that is immediately actionable. Right? So what is your on-time delivery performance right now today of the stuff that's going out the door, so that you can act on it? What is the current uptime status of the Rollo department? So they've got 6 machines. How many of those machines are running? Clocked in as running, not set up, not in as whatever the other time, maintenance or whatever. I want to know, are the machines running and making money? All right, so looking at some of that information. Consolidating related data in one panel, so like production control has 4 views, I'll show you, and then satisfying some of the unique requirements of individual users. We'll look at that in a second. The objectives of this: dashboard summaries and snapshots at a glance, using color-coded indicators so that when you just pull something up right away, you know is it good or is it bad. Use of graphics to simplify complex information. So rather than getting into lots of grids with data people have to think about, just show them a graph so that they can say, yeah, we're either trending up, trending down. Process right now is good or it's bad. We want the ability to drill down into details, so the advanced grid builder is going to be huge for us. Dynamically expanding information that you want to look at, linking and filtering related bezels, and of course, the bottom line is rapid user adoption and continued use. Because if I invest, we're making an investment in this, I'm spending a lot of time to put it out there. And if this is yet another one of those tools that goes out and nobody uses it, then it gets that much harder to implement the next solution, right? Especially since this one seems to be, as promising as it is, right? We don't want to lose them. And I think the key to that is integration in business process. So, like the planned order release. If that's the way they always go, they always use that for planned order release, guarantee continuation. If the sales reps are putting their notes in for a call and it always goes into Bezlio and not through some other method, it's guaranteed continuation. Value added makes the work easier. Anything that can help reduce the amount of time that they spend, reduce their frustration with something else, then it's going to guarantee that they're going to use it. Simple, easy to access and understand, kind of goes without saying. And then immediate feedback on actionable data. So the way that I've approached this from my project management standpoint was we looked at profile groups and set up the, see if that works. Yay. So we looked at who we have in the facility that would be a potential Bezlio user, and I've got all of their, information, what their role would be with Bezlio. Are they an internal or external user? Do they need a connection to both RobbJack and Crystalline, or just one or the other? Estimating our monthly cost. Our managers are obviously concerned about cost, and they want to know, what is this going to? What's the bottom line? And then when we start, as we start right now, who are our beta users? So I've identified who my test subjects are. Okay. Then under each of the roles, I'm looking at their, what is the panel name that I'm going to create? Everybody has a home panel. Then what are we going to show? What key pieces of information are important in terms of the views and the bezels? Get down onto some of these other ones. We have filter parameters. So I want to know, going in, I'm kind of thinking out and strategizing what are the key pieces of information that each of these roles are going to need, and then what does it look like? Click action. So on that bezel, are we going to have a button that does something? We want to see work order detail on our stock A back orders. Our products are all categorized by ABC codes. So our A's are all the 80-20, the 20% of the tools that amount to can account for 80% of our sales. So on that 80-20, we want to know what are we on the stocked items, what are we back ordered on? So we have a continual running list of our stock A back orders that they're kind of focusing on, make sure that we're refilling those. So we want to see the work order detail. And then what does it look like? What is that bezel? Is it a sparkline template? Is it a chart? Or just a simple grid or a hover table? You know, we're using things like SharePoint in here. So the manager role is kind of a little bits and pieces from everybody. You know, they want to see pieces of planning. They want to see something from production. There's some information from our CRM. Sales reps is a bit shorter list. You know, they're only concerned about a few things. You know, the obvious stuff. We are probably going to build and add custom tables in for CRM because there's no plugin right now for Dynamics yet. We're going to take the data and stuff it down into SQL Server tables, and I'll use my SSIS integration and then upload it into the accounts and leads. So that we're putting all of our notes in. Production control, not a whole lot there, but again, all we want to give them are those key valuable pieces of information that are most important to them. I don't want to overwhelm them and flood them with too much because you can write a script, if any of you are using Report Server, that looks at report utilization. So here's a list of reports that we run, execution count, and our most frequent user, and then the date that it was last run. And just looking at this, you can see there's, probably a dozen reports that are used with, some amount of frequency, and then the rest are really intermediate. Not used a whole lot. Although I'm really glad to see there's no 2016 dates in there. I think if I scroll further down on the report, there's 2015, 2014 stuff. So this is just gives you an idea as a database admin. Depending on what your scope of authority is, you can look at something like this and say, okay, I'm going to pull some of this stuff out, or I'm going to put my foot down, and I'm not going to include it in Bezlio. Because it's time spent creating something that one person is going to use once every 6 months. Our homepage has a Yammer feed for some of the people. It focuses in on the immediate information, just quick glance stuff, Sparkbox and Sparkline statuses, macro level, summary grids, and then the profile specific panels go in after that. Charts and graphs. So these are some of the fusion charts that we're using. This is that's Sparkbox. That's not a fusion chart, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's good. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so this is a template that doesn't get it yet. Actually, this is shared on the Slack. It will be a template soon, but it's what we're calling Sparkbox. So it's not a Sparkline, it's like a little box.
Yes. Got some planned orders, stock check. So our sales reps want to know what is, if I go sell this item, is it on hand? SharePoint, Gemba audits, and the Rolo schedule. So one of the things I like is it all starts to look the same. There's a consistent look and feel. Maybe that's my obsessive compulsive side coming out. Does look and appearance really matter? More than functionality? Probably not. I think that the consistency of it and the professionalism of the presentation does have an impact on what the users think, and how they react to the solution. So there's, we're going to give some amount of effort to that. this is not really shown well on here with the projector, but I took your the production team leader, and I did a mock-up of a labor ticket entry program. Saber's already quoted it out for us, and hopefully we'll pull the trigger on it. And that will take that Microsoft Access app that's used through the shop and move it over into Bezlio as the shop user's primary app. But then it also allows me to do a bunch of other stuff, right? And now I can start giving them status boxes that are specifically related to their performance that day on what they're doing. And then we hope to use the call log model and start integrating into the CRM as well. So before I do tips and tricks, let's go check this out. So yes, the hammer does not work inside the building. So a couple of things that I did on the home page. This is my home page, so this is representative of what the staff group might be doing. Took the Sparkline chart or progress chart and changed the color on it, just because we have, this is actually our corporate kind of theme anyway, are the gray, dark grays, light grays to red. And so this is better with what we did, and it also improved the contrast on the chart as we look at it. Kind of a big picture, we can see bookings and shipments originally started off as just a simple grid, but now it's a hover table with collapsing sections. Similar information from our subsidiary. So this is information I didn't have access to unless I remoted into their system. Now all I have to do is click this channel, and I can see what's going on at the subsidiary. See that it's 3 hours earlier than us, and they haven't shipped anything yet. Early day. One of the things that was kind of a contention, right, a source of conflict is we ship parts to them to be processed on work orders, and then they buy tools from us that are stocking items for them, right? So they diamond coat our tools and sell them as theirs, and then we have tools that we want diamond coated that we send to them. So there's a sales order, purchase order thing that goes back and forth. And, you know, we didn't know what's in their system, what are they even running at any given time. I don't know what the due dates are. Now all I have to do is open this up, and I've got an SQL query on their system that tells me here's what's running, which is nothing. They have these 2 jobs in, and this one's already late. So somebody needs to get on the phone with them to say, hey, what the heck? You know, why is that one not even running yet? Let's see. You guys have seen the state chart, I'm sure. Invoice inquiry. Top 10 customers, the product code chart. One of the things I would note about this is I started off with the grid view, and with the grid view, you get what you get, right? And it's intended to be so, right? It's a simple wizard. You can produce something pretty quickly. When I did that, it doesn't come up with dollar signs. It's not formatted, so you can't control how it looks when it's presented to management, who are fussy people, right? They want to see, you want to present it to them so that it looks right. So I went through this whole, convert from numeric to text and reformat it to add a dollar sign in front on the SQL query, because all I was doing was creating this in SQL, same rows and columns, so that when the wizard put it in, it just said, here's the information. Then I learned about Angular 2 pipe formatting, and now I don't have to do that. So I converted this over to a hover table. Did a Google search, and you can see that in here, when you add the hover table, you've seen plenty of examples of this so far. But then you can go look up and see, well, what's the formatting in order to get a dollar sign in front of it? What's the formatting for percent in order to have that data come up and view the way that you want? So I thought that was really cool, pretty powerful. Anything else? And now my SQL is nice and simple. It just goes and it pulls the data. I'm not reformatting. I'm not screwing with it in any way. It's far cleaner. And the advanced script builder is outputting stuff like this because it's just way more control and easier and cleaner. Yep. Let's see. That's pretty much the same kind of thing. This is that planning production control profile where they're looking at, what do I need to do? What do I need to act on right now? So sales orders with no supply, there's their stock A back orders. 3 new sales orders just went into the system in the last 2 hours. So they have to do something with those. And then here's their planned orders. And then we'll add a button there so I can select this one and say, release it, and then it automatically creates the work order in the shop. So some status bezels. I really like this, and I risk violating my own rule of not putting out too much that isn't of immediate value because these are so cool. You start thinking about ways to compare 2 sets of data. Monthly on-time delivery performance. Right now we do a comparison between 90 days. So our incentive is based on 90 days worth of data. So we started off looking at just the 90 days, and then somebody said, hey, I really want to see what we're doing right now. So now we're presenting in our morning huddles 5 days. So this is a 5-day value compared to the prior 90 days. So our on-time delivery is down 2% compared to our 90-day at 93.4. which is actually pretty bad for us. We've been running 97, 98% on time for quite a while. Just a reflection of how busy we are. I'm not worried about that because they just started working today. They've only got a couple hours in, so there's been no stocking orders in the system for it to generate any data. So that's what that means. Hours to work order. So they have created work orders today, and it's taken them 4.4 hours from the time the order was created. So in the order entry data or order entry table, there's a create date. So I match that create date up to the print date on the work order. Now I know how long does it take them. They've got a goal in the system of 3 hours. So now that shows up on their screen when they're working, and they're like, crap, gotta do something. The invoices, I am logged in as me, of course, and I've created if you go into on GitHub under some of the visual aid data, I'm building a table. It's a table or a view, but it's called BZL_rep emails, because if you know on a sales rep table, there's no place in there for an email for a sales rep. You'd have to go through some convolution. If you're using your sales reps are also employees, maybe you could do it. So I created just a temporary table with a view that pulls together the emails, and I inserted myself with a union as a sales rep. So I have invoices, active accounts, quotes, and bookings as if I were the Northern California sales rep. So when we put this out, that'll be on sales reps' profile on their homepage, so that when they first open Bezlio, they can see it. It's like a whack upside the head. Only 5.78% of my accounts are currently active. And we define active as having placed a quote or an order within the last 12 months, or last 24 months, excuse me. So 24 months is kind of an arbitrary thing for us, but it's revealing, right? And then quotes, orders, and invoice dollars with little green indicators or carrots. All of that you can control. You can go change the carrot around, and depending on what the statistic is it going up, is up good or is it up bad. You just go in and change the color from green to red, and you're done. Let's see. That's just almost like this icon for that is a heartbeat like mine.
I got refresh. I don't know if that.
Yeah.
Refresh doesn't do something. Okay. Yep.
Stock check. So stock check is something that I'm working on. We've discussed some ways to improve performance. Maybe tips and tricks or lessons learned so far at this point. If you have large data sets, I seem to like 10,000 records is not too bad on the return. This was like 32,000, and it's way slow, right? So especially since when you start typing in the type ahead in order to do a search, the way that this filter is done, as soon as I start typing, it scrolls through 32,000 records and tries to apply the filter with every keystroke, right?
Yeah, first keystroke.
So, we were brainstorming ways of possibly speeding that up. What the sales rep is really interested in is for this specific part number that I know, what's the current on-hand quantity or rather the ATP, available to promise. So, just type the number in and hit look up. Would be one solution rather than include all of them. Unless there was some other reason to include some, part detail. If I go back to here, let me see where I'm at. Yep. So back to the kind of the tips and tricks with that. I'm not a programmer. I ended up doing this kind of over the years and have gradually gotten okay at it. I have an MISM degree, which means that I, just enough to be dangerous, right? So I like stealing and improving things. And I don't need to show that because I went into it in some good examples, right? Where in this case I said, well, where's the filter? I want to put a filter on my stock check. Where else does filter exist in any of the apps or plugins that I've seen? So on accounts, it had it, and I said, all right, so I'm going to go check out the accounts. Went and looked at the code for the accounts, noticed that it had the require, right? I said, oh, well, so that looks like it's getting it from GitHub. So I went and I found that code on GitHub, found the apply filter code and a couple of other things in order to make it work. And I just copied it and pasted it in as a function, you know, where it needed to be. And it's working in Chrome. One of the reasons why I've been so frustrated with it is I've been forced to use Edge on my tablet, and it won't work in Edge. So the filters won't work on Edge. Another one of those tips for you, I guess. One of the other tips and tricks is null value management. I don't know if F4 has the same issue as Visual does. You know, null values are frustrating as hell for us visual users. You know, you try running reports and all, you know, you always have to do in your where clause include a, you know, where customer name is not null in order to get make sure you get your full data set back. Same thing with this. If in this case on the filter, well, yeah, where the filter was being applied, if the customer ID on the account, any of the addresses, the city, the state, I think, you know, if any of those values, zip code for sure, we ran into that. If any of those are null, you have to manage them. You know, put a placeholder value in, or just exclude it from your data set if it's possible, and then your data will magically appear where it hadn't before. And I forget if I think it just gets stuck on loading, right? So you go to open it up and it just sits there. It's probably showing a null value error if you look in your console and debug. And I'm just getting used to that now, so I'm going to start playing with that some more. Let's see, what else do I have? Talked about Angular pipe formatting, taking advantage of those third-party plugins. You know, I learned early on, you know, I had this vision of this chart that I wanted, and it wasn't available as a template. And then in one of the emails, I forget if it was Adam or Brian, said, hey, yeah, we're using Fusion charts. Went out to Fusion charts and you know, found something that I liked, and it's got all the code there in the guide. And you just grab it and drop it in, and you know, modify it as you need to for your data. Makes it really easy. I think we touched on this already. Is the idea or need to think about who your users are and what their reaction and expectations might be on the product, right? So on our sales reps, they're all out on the road. The guys that are the power users anyway, who are going to use this, are probably using an iPad, something that's small and handy. And so, you know, I started to build all this stuff out and not really paying attention to the size of this. And I was thinking, oh yeah, it's cool. Let's do the accounts panel and then ordering, query, and invoices on the same panel. And then I went and looked at it on an iPad, and I go, oh, you know, that's not going to work because the scrolling is awful and it doesn't really fit. So I had to kind of change the approach and the layout, you know, planning ahead for the sales rep and making sure that our usage and utilization is going to be good. And, you know, resize. And now I know that there's additional, when you create a panel so that it automatically, you can get rid of the grid and resize automatically. So I'll start applying that to all of those panels as well. Then my sales reps will be happy and not complaining, hopefully. Yeah, I'll always find something. So there you go. That's the perspective of our project from you know, a business analyst or project manager trying to you know, accelerate my learning curve. We were really excited about the product and what's possible. look forward to seeing you all on Slack and exchanging ideas and about what's working and what's possible. And
Thank you, Sean.
Appreciate it.
all right.